We're doing the body just in time for Halloween. This is Carrie with Canary Quilts, and we are on the 6th week of doing our Tula Pink Butterfly Quilt sew-along. If you're new here, this is what that's going to look like. It's a beautiful quilt. I've been breaking it down by about 2 blocks every week, and this week we're doing the body, which this is just a small section of it, and there's only one of these. Everything we've been doing, it's been doubled. So there's only one. This is what goes straight down the middle, and that's the body of the butterfly. And then we've got 2 blocks called Teeter Totter, and I think that's the coolest name for blocks. But these will take 5 minutes maybe. They don't take very long. This doesn't take very long, and mostly what I'm going to show you is how I organize it so that you can get the colors in the right spot. But these are just flying geese that we put together to go down the middle of the quilt. So, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and you can either quilt along with us. I have the pattern and the fabric kit down below in the description. If you click that link, it helps my channel out. Or you can watch us put this together and see what it looks like in the end. But this week we get a break after last week's monstrosity of half square triangles. It's going to be easy this week, so yeah, let's sit down and let's get started on these beautiful blocks. All right, today we are working on the body of the butterfly, which starts up here next to this border and goes all the way down here and involves all these flying geese colors. So it's this strip right up the middle that we'll be working on today. So the flying geese units we did right here, this is how we're going to put these together also. It's just different colors. And then we'll add these extra strips here. And the only other thing we will need to remember is this dark and this dark will need the background instead of the white. So I've got my colors laid out here. And this is where we're going to use the squares that we received in our kit. So the number 1 fabric is the white. All of these will have the exact same cuts out of them, but I'm just keeping track of what number they are in case I need to or when I put the body together. This doesn't have a number. This is our background fabric. This doesn't have very many cuts at all because it's only going to be on 2 of the flying geese and then the 2 strips on the ends. So that's our fabrics that we're going to be using. So I'm going to get these cut up and we'll come back here and look at it. Here's all my cuts for the body section of the butterfly. And it's pretty much all flying geese except for these 2 end strips right here. Not pretty much, it is all flying geese. So the colored squares that we had all have the same cuts out of them. 2 squares and 1 rectangle. The white colors have 9 rectangles and 18 squares in them. And then the background has, just like the colors, has 1 set of the 2 squares, 1 rectangle for the flying geese, and then 2 of these large strips that are going to go on the ends of our body. So what we need to do first is the 2 dark colors are going to have 1 set made with the background. So the number 2 fabric, I'm going to pair the 2 squares of the background with, because these colors are going to be at the top and then it's going to work down to 11. So then down here at 11, I'm going to pair the rectangle background. So the rest of these pieces are going to be paired up with the white. So down here, the rectangle is going to have white, and up here, the squares are going to have a white rectangle with it. I hope that's not confusing you, but I want to set these aside because these are going to be at the end. I think that I'll start with these first since they have different backgrounds. So let's start with this one. We need to mark the back with diagonals on the squares. So let's do that. And then these are going to go onto the background rectangle. And then this is going to get 2 white squares. Make sure you got the right sides. Mark these on the diagonal also. And then add the white to the rectangle for number 11. So that's how the 11 color is going to look. And then the 2 is going to be like this. We're going to need that up here. Mark your background squares. And we'll take the background, put it on the 2 rectangle, and then that's going to go on second. And then we need to mark these. This is still the number 2 fabric. And we're going to take one of our white rectangles from number 1. Make sure we got the right side up. And we're going to take one of our number 2 squares, put it down so the rectangle goes from the top middle to the bottom left. And then this goes right here. So these are going to make our number 2 and our number 11 flying geese. So I'm going to put these together first so that I don't get confused and they're done. So we're going to sew on the line, come back, trim 1/4 inch from our seam, and then we're going to iron towards the corner. And then we will repeat to add these 2 on. Okay, that's what our number 2 fabric will look like. It'll have the large triangle as white and the small corners, or the corners as the background. And then number 11 will have the large triangle in the middle as the background and the small corners, the corners, as the white. So I started with those because those are going to be different than all the other colors. I'm going to keep this. It'll probably be obvious when I'm putting it together, but I'm still keeping the numbers on them. So 2 and 11 are done, which literally leaves us with just the colors and the white. So all of these, I'll show you one, but they're all going to be put together the same. So let's start with this number 10. Mark, whoops, can't mark with the rotary cutter. Mark the diagonal. And then take 2 of these and mark the diagonal. Make sure you're doing it on the back. It's kind of hard to tell. And then grab a rectangle, and we're ready to set up our two flying geese units we get out of this fabric color. So start on the left, top, middle, bottom, left, and we'll do, make sure you got the right sides together. That is the right side. Top, middle, bottom, left, and that's how we're going to do all of these colors. They're going to look exactly like this. We're going to put this corner on, sew on the line, trim 1/4 inch, iron towards the corner, repeat for the other side. So I'm going to get all of these put together and we'll come back and take a look at it and start assembling our body. Okay, there are all my flying geese done. I have kept the number on them, and each of them has a white base and a color base. So the next thing we're going to do, and you could have done this as you were making the flying geese, I've just decided to do it in the order of the pattern, is we want to, actually let's start with 2 and 11 because again those are different. The rest of these are going to be the same. So number 2, we're going to put together like this. We're always going to want to make an arrow. Said we wanted to make an arrow of the color, and that's what I didn't do over here. But what we're doing here is, it's going to be the same with these. It's just I'm doing these different because of the background. I want to make sure they get them right. But they're all going to form this color arrow. So we're just going to take all of these and put them together like that, along the color edge. So I'm going to put this, match my edges, and I again like to sew with the point up so I can see where it's going to land right there at the top of the point. So we get these done, and then we will always iron towards the color base side away from the point. That's how we're going to do all of these. I'm still going to keep the numbers on, even though it probably will be obvious, just in case. So I'll do one of these. I'll probably do these one at a time to make sure I don't get my numbers messed up. Make a color arrow, put it together like that. Sew it 1/4 inch, iron towards away from the point. There we go. I'm going to finish all these up, and then we'll start putting our whole body together. Here's my finished flying geese units right here. I've got them in order here from 2 to 11. What we're going to do is we've got our 2 top and bottom border pieces, and we're going to start on the bottom and just work our way up. I did this because then I put them in order because then I can just grab the next one on up and start working that way. So let's take 11, and you can see why it has that background color in it. We're going to line it up, sew it, iron towards the strip whenever we put the strip on. Otherwise, we're ironing towards the base of the flying goose. So this one, just like it was different before, is going to be ironed towards that strip. And then we're going to take number 10 and add it. And I'm going to sew with the point up. And this time we are ironing towards the base of the flying goose, which now gives us this white arrow. So I'm going to continue on up until I get to 2, and then we'll add this on. So I'll meet you back here when I get to 2. Okay, so I've added all my flying geese units in order from 11 to 2. Now all I have to do is take the top strip and put it up here, and you can see that I've got the green there that'll match. And this time we are going to iron towards this big strip we're putting on. And I don't have enough room, but there is our body. Flying geese strip made with colors. There is the optional black and white, but this kit came with the colors, and that's what I like too. I like the colors. So there you go, pretty easy to put together. I found it much easier to keep track of everything with the numbers. I didn't like mass produce these. I did them one at a time, kept the numbers on them. So when I came back and was putting this in order, I could just do it by number. I didn't have to refer to the color. So I feel like that made it a lot easier. So these alphabetties are great. And if you've never used them, I do have a link down below. So there we go. Okay, next up is called the Teeter Totter unit. And it is another flying goose or geese unit. And it's right here, and it has this little top on it. And there's 2 of them. So remember, when you're cutting your fabric, you need to times it by 2. And here are the fabrics that I determined were on the front of the pattern. So you can head over to my website. I've got a link down below, and I list out what fabrics these are for you to use. And these #1 fabrics are going to be the corner of this big flying geese. So it's going to be like that. And then these go on top. They're like a little strip you make to go on the top, and then they'll alternate on the other one. So pretty easy. Here's the fabrics. I pulled them out. But anyway, to get started, we need to take our #1 fabrics and mark a diagonal on the back of them. And we are going to make 2 of these. So we will take our square, put the diagonal from the top middle to the bottom left, and we'll do both of these at the same time. So, and then we'll come back and trim. Let's trim this up. Iron towards the corner. And then repeat with the other side. All right, there's the 2 flying geese units. Now we are going to put 3 and 4 together on the short side. I am going to be ironing towards the hexy side. And then we're going to make 2 that go together like this. What the pattern says is to put it together, make 2 of these units. But if you look at the front, everything's a mirror image, so they sit in the pattern across from each other like this. So that's how I'm going to make mine. I'm just going to flip one of these over. So let's put this along the top. We'll put that middle seam at that point. And we're going to sew this 1/4 inch, and we are ironing towards the strip. So let me know if you're going to put your strip on the same way, because that's how it looks to me on the front of the quilt. So they say to make 2 exactly the same way, but when you look at the front of the quilt, these same fabrics are facing each other. And that's how I look at it. So there you go. That was super simple. I've got my body put away, which we just did, and I just made these Teeter Totter. I like that name. I think that's a cute name for a block. This Teeter Totter block went together super simple. Looked at the fabric on the front, made this decision here, and we're all done with Teeter Totter. And next week we go on to the templates, which I don't have template plastic for. I'm just going to cut them out. So I need to get something here that tells me this is Teeter Totter, but I've got the flying geese and the body in this bag, and I'm going to store my Teeter Totter in that bag, and we are done. So hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You'll get notified when we go to the next block, which is called the medium pie block, and the large wheel, the large and small wheel actually. So we're going to be doing 3 blocks next week. And check out the links down below with the products I use. I only link products that I like and that I use, and that really does help the channel out. To check those out, I would appreciate it. Let me know how it's going for you, and we are so close to putting sections together. It's just I can taste it. I can just taste it. That's it. Anyway, I had fun making this block. I had fun making this video, and I'll see you in the next. Bye!